Well, the weather is not warm and there's no green out in those fields. So you might be wondering why we're talking agronomy here with our Allied Cooperative program. I have Pat Cauley, and he is Agronomy Advisor for Allied Cooperative. Now, when it greens up, you get out in those fields, and there's some issues that happen sometimes in those soybean fields. What's out there?
So one of the things we're starting to see a lot more of is water hemp, and the hard part about water hemp is it can go up to 1.5 inches per day in ideal conditions. It's part of the pigweed family, so a lot of people get it confused with red root pigweed, but by mistaking the ID part of it, it can really cost you a lot in the end, just because it's so hard to kill.
And now, is this in soybean fields primarily, or is it in cornfields, hay fields? Where are we finding this water hemp?
Really, we can find it just about anywhere. The one we see it the most in is in soybeans. We don't see it as much in corn because we have a lot more different options, better active ingredients to go after it with longer soil applied residuals. But in soybeans, just because of how long they take to canopy, we see a lot more breakthroughs, and it's a lot tougher to control in soybeans.
And now, how do you control it when it comes to our soybeans?
It all starts with a good chemistry plan. So in soybeans, we want to start with a good pre-emerge herbicide with multiple modes of action. There's a lot of different products that we can use pre-emerge that we can't use post-emerge just because they will kill or injure the beans severely. Some of the products that we've had really, really good luck with are Sonic, Fierce, Zidro Pro, just to name a few.
Now, we've talked about the weed, we've talked about controlling it, but how is it spread within our fields?
So a big way that it spreads, believe it or not, is actually through birds. A lot of geese, different birds flying over, drop seeds as they fly. Another thing that makes it spread pretty easily is we can spread it at harvest, and we don't even know it. One water hemp plant typically will produce about 250,000 seeds, but in ideal conditions, it can produce up to 1 million. So just to kind of put that into perspective, if we have one plant produce 1 million seeds and we only get 90% control, we already have going into the following year potentially 100,000 seeds that could potentially be out there. Another way we could spread it is through tillage as well, but the biggest way we see it spread is birds and lack of control with herbicides and at harvest.
And what about this water hemp in the fields? How big of an impact does it have on our yield?
Depending on the severity of how bad the water hemp is, we can see very, very large reductions in yield. We've also seen it that if it is not treated correctly, it can be a major pain to get it harvested and will cause a huge, huge problem the following year.
Beyond treating those fields for that water hemp, when you get into harvest, is there any way that we can keep it from spreading from field to field?
Yeah, so one way we can do this is to blow down our combines after fields that we know that we have significant water hemp pressure in. We could also prioritize how we harvest certain fields. If we know we have certain fields that are clean versus certain fields that do have water hemp pressure, it might be a good idea to prioritize combining the ones with the water hemp pressure last, just so we don't spread them to some of those fields where we don't have the pressure as high.
Always thinking ahead to those fields. And water hemp management advice from Pat Cauley. He is Agronomy Advisor for Allied Cooperative. And I'm Jill Welke.